The story of Suikoden 2. Set 3 years after the events of Suikoden, the story starts with the Unicorn Brigade camping at Tenzin Pass. The protagonist, Riou, and his childhood friend, Jiao, are members of the Unicorn Brigade of the Highland Army. The Highland Kingdom has just signed a peace treaty with its longtime enemy, the city-state of Joustin. With the war over, the Unicorn Brigade is on the way back to Cairo town. Suddenly, the state army launched a surprise attack against the Unicorn Brigade. The captain of the Unicorn Brigade, Riou, tells everyone to run to the forest in the east. However, Jiao realizes that the enemy must have also known that the forest is the only way out, so they head back to inform Riou. When they're back at the camp, they find Riou talking with Luca Blight, the Prince of Highland. Turns out the surprise attack was Luca's ploy to restart the war so he could destroy the city-state. Horrified, Riou and Jiao run to the cliff in the north. However, Riou and his men find them. Though they manage to defeat Riou's men, they have no way to escape. With no other way to escape, Riou and Jiao decide to jump into the river below the cliff. Before they jump, they mark the spot and promise to return here if they get separated. After Riou and Jiao jump together, the scene turns into a flashback. Riou, Jiao, and Nanami grew up together in Cairo. Riou and Nanami are the adopted children of Jinkaku. After Jinkaku died, Riou and Jiao joined the Unicorn Brigade. The flashback ends, and Riou wakes up. He was saved by Victor. Victor asks Riou why he is on the river. Riou tries to explain his situation, though it confuses Victor. He asks if Riou is a Highlander, to which Riou answers that he's from the Unicorn Brigade. Victor explains that he's the leader of the mercenaries allied with the city-state. Unfortunately, Flick couldn't save Jiao. Victor decides to bring Riou to the mercenary fortress. At the mercenary fortress, Riou has to do various chores under surveillance from Pole. One night, Jiao sneaks into the fort. Though he successfully frees Riou, Flick and Victor stop them from escaping. Victor questions Riou and Jiao about what happened to them, and Riou explains the truth to Victor and Flick. Despite being caught, Jiao is still planning to return to Cairo with Riou. Victor decides to imprison Riou and Jiao for now. At midnight, Riou and Jiao manage to escape by using the items Riou has. They stop at Riou village, where they meet a group of traveling performers. The traveling performers, Rina, Eili, and Bolgan, are heading to Highland too. To reach Highland, they need to pass through the North Sparrow Pass, but there's a rumor that a mist monster lives there. Since they're going to the same place, they travel together. Thanks to Rina, the guards let the party pass. After some time, the mist monster attacks the party, and they slay it. The party arrives at Cairo and parts ways. Riou and Jiao go to their respective homes. Nanami is surprised and glad to see Riou come back. Nanami urges Riou that they should leave the town. However, Highland soldiers stop them before they could leave. Riou orders his men to arrest Riou and Nanami. Meanwhile, Jiao is also being arrested. His family doesn't believe him and disowns him. At the jail, Jiao asks Riou why he did all of this. Riou answers that both he and Luca have ambition. To achieve Luca's ambition, he sacrificed the Unicorn Brigade to whip people into a frenzy, while Riou's ambition is to get a promotion so he can make more money. As Riou and Jiao are being taken to the execution ground, they meet Princess Jia, who happens to pass by. Jiao tells her that they didn't betray the country, but the country has betrayed them. At the execution ground, Riou gazes at the sunset, thinking that he will soon become the captain of a Highland company. While Riou is daydreaming, Victor and Flick have already defeated all the soldiers around him. Flick frees Riou and Jiao, but Riou escapes. The party intends to rescue Nanami, but it turns out that Nanami doesn't need rescue. As they are about to leave Cairo, Nanami wonders if they could come back. Riou assures her they'll be back someday. When the party arrives at Mercenary Fortress, Victor suggests Riou and Jiao should recruit more people. Riou and Jiao visit Toto village, where a little girl named Pilika greets Jiao. Pilika is the one who saved Jiao. Pilika invites Riou and Jiao to her house. At Pilika's house, Pilika asks Jiao to buy a wooden amulet she saw at Muse City for her dad. Jiao accepts Pilika's requests, and the party goes to Muse. However, after the party buys the wooden amulet and returns to Toto, they find the village in ruin. The party hears Pilika's cry. Pilika says that her father told her to hide, so she hid where nobody found her. She heard scary voices, and when she took a peek, she saw her parents' dead bodies. When Jiao consoles Pilika, Apple appears. She explains that Luca burned and looted the village to entertain his troop. Apple asks the party to take her to Victor's fort immediately. At the mercenary fortress, Apple informs Victor and Flick that Luca has attacked Toto, and soon he will attack the entire city-state, including this fort. After a discussion with Apple, Victor and Flick decide to fight. Flick will ask for reinforcement from Muse. Victor shows Riou and Joey the fire spears, which have rusted. Victor requests that Riou and Joey go to the forest behind Riou to recruit a blacksmith called Sai of the Divine Spear, who could fix the fire spears. When the party almost returns to Riou after recruiting Sai, they see the Highland army attacking the village. The party witnesses Luca brutally massacre the villagers. Angered by what he sees, Joey tries to stop Luca, but Sai stops him, as they stand no chance against Luca. After the Highland army leaves, the party returns to Mercenary Fortress. Victor is relieved that Riou and Joey are okay. Victor tells Riou and Joey to run to Muse, but they insist they want to help fight the Highlands. Flick decides to give Riou a test to see if he can fight. After a brief duel, Flick deems Riou passed, so Victor allows him to lead a company. The next day, the Highland army approaches. Thanks to the fire spears, the mercenaries manage to surprise the Highland army and force them to retreat. However, soon the Highland army attacked again. During the battle, Luca led his army to ambush the mercenaries from the rear, entering the mercenary fortress. Victor and Flick tell everybody to abandon the fort and run. Joey lost Pilaika during the chaos, so Riou and Joey search for her. They find Pilaika and Pole in the same room as Luca. Luca kills Pole, and he'll kill Pilaika next. Riou and Joey protect Pilaika, but Luca easily brushes them aside. Before Luca could swing his sword at Pilaika, an explosion occurred, and the fort started burning. Victor and Flick barge into the room and rescue Pilaika, Riou, and Joey. Everyone managed to escape, but Riou, Joey, and Nanami separated from the others. The experience makes Pilaika so terrified that she is unable to speak. When the party passes Toto to reach Muse, Pilaika guides them to a shrine. Inside, there's a stone with Jinkakis writing. When Riou and Joey touch it, they're teleported inside. Leknot appears and tells them to go forward. As Riou and Joey walk, they start seeing a vision of their past. After the vision ends, Leknot appears again and says that the rune of beginning has recognized them. The rune will grant them the power to alter fate. Realizing that they need power, Riou and Joey decide to take the runes. Joey gains the Black Sword rune, while Riou gains the Bright Shield rune. Leknot tells them to go and write their own fate. After that, Riou and Joey teleported back. The party continues their journey to Muse, but they can't enter without an entry permit. The party finds an inn run by Hilda. Alex, Hilda's husband, claims that he found a way to open the Sindar ruin behind the inn. Then he leaves to gather some men to help him find Sindar treasure. The next morning, Alex is furious because nobody in Muse believed him. Nanami asks if Alex could lend his entry permit to the party. Alex agrees to lend his permit if the party helps him search for the Sindar treasure. Alex opens the ruin's entrance, and the party explores the ruin. They find the treasure chest, guarded by a two-headed giant snake. The party slays the snake to claim the treasure. However, the treasure turns out to be a healing herb instead of gold. Disappointed, Alex throws it on the ground. The party returns to the inn, only to find Hilda collapsed due to fever. While everyone is waiting for Joey to bring a doctor, Riou takes the healing herb from before to cure Hilda. The herb worked, and Hilda awakens with her fever gone. As per their agreement, Alex lends his entry permit to the party. The party tries to enter Muse using Alex's entry permit, but they get arrested instead. At the jail, Joey tells Riou that he wants to make the land safe so children like Pilaika won't suffer from war again. The next morning, Victor and Flick bail the party out. Victor invites Riou, Joey, and Nanami to meet Mayor Annabelle. Annabelle knows that Riou and Nanami are Jinkakis' adopted children. She asks how Jinkaku is, and Nanami answers that Jinkaku died last year. Annabelle regrets that Muse couldn't atone for their crime against him. Riou questions what Annabelle means, but she says she'll talk about it next time. As the party looks around City Hall, they happen to meet Chamberlain Jess. Jess asks Riou and Joey to sneak into the Highland camp at the Muse Highland border to see how much provision they have. Depending on how much the provisions are, they could know whether the Highland is going for a quick attack or a long siege. Despite the danger, Riou and Joey accept Jess' request. Wearing the Unicorn Brigade uniforms, Riou and Joey sneak into the camp. They manage to fool the guards and enter the supply tent. Joey estimates that the provisions are enough for 2 weeks. Riou and Joey get out, but Rode sees them. Riou and Joey hide in a big tent, which turns out to be Gia's tent. Rode enters and asks for permission to search the tent, but Gia tells him to leave. After some time, Gia let Riou and Joey escape. However, Rode has been waiting for them. Joey asks Riou to escape while he holds off the enemies, and he promises he'll be back. Meanwhile, the party returns to Muse. Riou and Nanami explain to Victor and Flick what happened. Angry, Victor and Flick confront Jess about why he sends kids on such a dangerous mission. Nanami asks Annabelle to save Joey, but Annabelle says their hands are already full with war preparation. Riou, Nanami, and Pilika wait in front of the city until Joey finally comes back. A week later, Victor brings Riou, Joey, and Nanami to the Hilltop Conference at Joustin Hill. During the conference, despite the looming threat of a Highland invasion, the mayors were unable to reach full cooperation. Jess receives a report that the Highland army killed the guards at the border and began advancing toward Meuse. Annabelle immediately orders other cities to send their troops to Meuse. After the conference, the party goes back to the inn, where Annabelle and Apple await them. The reinforcements from other cities will arrive at Meuse after a week, so Annabelle asks Victor to slow down the Highland army for 2 days. Victor accepts Annabelle's request. After Victor successfully stalled the Highland advance, Joey is secretly talking to Cage. Joey hopes that he has chosen the right path. The next day, Riou, Nanami, and Joey go to meet Annabelle, but she's still busy, so she asks them to come back later at night. Before leaving, Joey asks Annabelle why she fights and what she hopes to gain. Annabelle answers that she'll gain nothing, and she fights because she wants to protect her home. When they're back at Lena's tavern, Joey suddenly leaves. Riou sees Joey talking with Cage. Riou asks him what he is doing, but Joey couldn't say it. He tells Riou that he and Nanami should run far away from the war. He also asks Riou to take care of Pilika if he dies. That night, Riou and Nanami go to meet Annabelle again. The guard says that their friend has already gone in. The scene switches to Annabelle's room. Joey enters the room. When Joey sees that Annabelle is alone, he pulls a knife and says that he's here to take her life. Despite being threatened, Annabelle remains calm. She asks Joey if he could do it and bear the burden. Joey answers that he will bear that burden. Annabelle asks if she can finish her drink first, and when Joey's guard is down, she throws her glass on him. The scene switches back to Riou and Nanami. Riou and Nanami enter the room, and they see Annabelle fatally wounded. Joey runs away. Then Jess enters the room. Jess is shocked and demands Riou explain himself. Before Riou could say anything, a soldier reports to Jess that the Highland army has entered the city. Jess leaves to call a doctor. Annabelle tells Riou and Nanami to run. Riou and Nanami pick up Pilika at Lena's tavern. Leona tells them to rendezvous at South Window. To reach South Window, they need a ship from Coronet Town. Unfortunately, Highland has banned all ships from leaving the port. Riou and Nanami run into Eiley, Rena, and Bolgan. Like Riou and Nanami, they're unable to go to South Window. Riou and Nanami try to find a way to get a ship. They meet Taiho and ask him to help them cross the lake, but Taiho refuses. Riou insists that they need to cross the lake. Taiho sees Riot's determination and decides to gamble with him. Riou wins, so Taiho and Yamku start to prepare the ship. Riou and Nanami go back to Rena, Eiley, and Bolgan to tell them that they found someone who could help them cross the lake. After that, the party sailed and reached Cuscus town. From Cuscus, they go south and arrive at South Window, where Victor greets them. Riou explains what happened during the day Meuse fell. Meanwhile, Victor and Flick are still waiting for others to arrive. Victor invites Riou and Nanami to meet Mayor Grandmeyer. Grandmeyer asks Victor to investigate North Window, which is Victor's hometown. Several women went missing near the North Window area. The party goes to North Window, and to Victor's shock, Necklord appears. Necklord taunts Victor by reviving the dead North Window villagers as zombies. The party fights Necklord, but they couldn't defeat him without the Star Dragon sword. Necklord tells Victor that he'll be waiting for him inside the castle. Victor left the Star Dragon sword inside the Cave of the Wind, so the party goes there to retrieve it. In the cave, the party meets Khan, who came from a vampire hunter family that's been hunting Necklord for years. Khan explains that Necklord used a doppelganger, so the Necklord Victor killed 3 years ago was fake. When they find the Star Dragon sword, Victor accidentally makes the sword mad. The party has to fight the Star Dragon sword until Victor apologizes to make it calm down. Victor says that Necklord is back, so the Star Dragon sword agrees to slay him again. The party returns to North Window. When they confront Necklord, he summons a girl named Daisy. Necklord says he will give her to Victor if Victor hands over the Star Dragon sword. Victor doesn't fall for Necklord's trick, but before Victor can strike Necklord, he flees. Khan leaves the party to track down Necklord. Just as the party is about to leave, Flick and the others arrive. Flick says South Window has fallen to Highland. With no other place to go, everyone stays at North Window and turns the castle into headquarters. Flick explains that the Highland army, led by Solon G, attacked just after the party left. Grandmeyer knew South Window didn't stand a chance, so he surrendered without fighting. The next day, Grandmeyer was executed. The Highland army will soon attack the headquarters. With only a few troops in an old castle, winning against Highland seems impossible. Apple suggests they should recruit a man named Shu who lives in Radat Town. Shu was one of Matthew's students, but Matthew expelled him. The party goes to Radat to meet Shu, who is a successful trader now. Apple asks Shu to help them, but Shu refuses. Shu doesn't care who wins the war as long as he can make a lot of profits. Apple is appalled by Shu's response. The party tries to find a way to make Shu change his mind. Even after Apple begs him, Shu still refuses. Shu throws a coin into the river, and if the party can find it, he will join. Though Nanami says it's impossible, Apple won't give up. After closing the sluice gate, Apple, Riou, and Nanami search for the coin until night. Eventually, Riou finds the coin. Shu finally agrees to join. Shu sees the rune on Raya's hand, and with that rune and Riou, they might have a chance to win the war. When Shu arrives at headquarters, he already has a plan. 1/3 of the Highland army is made up of former South Window soldiers, and their switch would weaken the Highland army. Shu assigns Free to infiltrate the Highland army, and spread rumors among the former South Window soldiers. Then, Raya's unit will attack Solanji's unit from behind. During the battle, when the South Window soldiers see Riou attacking Solanji, they are in awe of his bravery. Freed rallies them to defect. At a disadvantage, the Highland army retreats. After the battle, people call Riou a hero. Shu asks Riou to become the leader of the Orange Army because he has a unique ability to touch people's hearts. Victor tells everyone that Riou needs time to think, and he invites Riou and Nanami to listen to Genkaku's story. Victor starts the story with the State Highland War 30 years ago. Han was the leader of the Highland army. The Highland was able to take over half of Muse and Matilda Trattori. When defeat seemed imminent, Genkaku raided the Highland supply tent, slowing the Highland long enough for the state to recover. Genkaku and Han were from the same hometown. They were close friends despite being on opposite sides. Genkaku and Han realized how pointless the war was, so they made both sides forge a peace treaty. However, the Muse mayor, Darrell, and Highland were unable to reach an agreement on Cairo, so the war continued. Eventually, both sides agreed to settle the dispute with a duel between champions. Something unexpected happened during the duel. Genkaku refused to fight. Han declared victory after he placed his sword on Genkaku's neck. Genkaku was branded as a traitor, and he was exiled from city-state. Years later, the truth was revealed. Darrell coated Genkaku's sword with poison before the duel. Genkaku knew this, hence, he refused to draw his sword. Victor ends the story by advising Riou to take his own path. The next day, Riou accepts to become the leader of the Orange Army. Leknot appears to give Riou the stone tablet of promise. She also tasked Luke to aid the Orange Army. The next day, Fischer comes to the headquarters. He asks Riou to come to Two River City to form an alliance. Riou agrees to go with Fischer. Arriving at Lakes Town, Fischer says he will go first, and he gives Riou a letter of introduction. When Riou enters the city, a winger boy named Chico steals his wallet along with the letter. Fortunately, Riou uses the Bright Shield rune as proof of his identity. Mayor Makai welcomes Riou, and Two River is glad to work together with Orange Army. The next morning, Fischer tells Riou that Makai and General Ridley are arguing. Makai denies that he's plotting against Ridley, but Ridley says he couldn't trust the humans anymore. The party tries to talk to Ridley, but they can't enter the Kobold district. Suddenly, Chico steals Fischer's wallet. The party chases Chico, and just as they thought they had cornered him, Chico opens a secret way into the sewer. The party continues chasing Chico until they get out of the sewer in the Kobold district. Ridley spotted them, and he explains that he finds out that Makai and General Kiba of Highland have secretly signed a peace treaty. The condition for said treaty is that the Kobold district will be given to Highland. Riou warns him that it's the enemy's plot to divide them. While Ridley admits Riou might be right, he won't risk endangering his people. When the party returns to the human district, they find Makai and General Kiba talking about making a peace treaty between Two River and Highland. Even though Fischer explains that the peace treaty is part of the enemy's plan, Makai stubbornly insists on signing it. The next day, the Highland army attacked, catching Makai off guard. The Two River army and Highland army clash. Fischer says they should talk to Ridley again. However, Ridley hesitates. Then, the wingers join the fight to protect the city. Finally, Ridley sees his error and joins the fight. With the whole people of Two River fighting together, they're able to push back the Highland army. Kiba's son Klaus says that the Orange Army and reinforcement from Kobold Village are incoming, so Kiba orders all troops to withdraw. Meanwhile, at the Highland camp, Luca orders his men to execute Solanji for his failures. Luca intends to invade Green Hill City next, and Joey offers himself to lead the invasion. Joey says he has a strategy to take Green Hill without using the whole army. Luca promises to reward Joey if he's able to fulfill his words. Though they're able to ally with Two River, Shu reports to Riou that Green Hill has fallen to Highland. The Orange Army doesn't have enough numbers to retake Green Hill, so Shu suggests they should rescue the acting mayor of Green Hill, Teresa, who's missing. To infiltrate Green Hill, Riou and Nanami will pose as students, and Flick will act as their guardian. Fisher prepares the necessary documents for the infiltration. After entering Green Hill, the first step is to enroll in the academy. On the way, the party sees a girl arguing with a Highland soldier. Flick interrupts and saves the girl. The girl, Nina, becomes smitten with Flick. At the academy, the party meets Shin, Teresa's attendant. After enrolling, Riou and Nanami have to stay in the student dorm. 2 days later, Flick receives instruction from Fisher. The party goes to meet Fisher, but they find him surrounded by angry mobs. Flick saves him by scaring away the mobs. Unfortunately, Fisher still has no clue where Teresa is. At night, Nanami wakes up Riou because she hears strange sounds. The party sees a shadowy figure running around. The party follows him, and they discover a secret passage that connects the dorm and the school. The party confronts the mysterious person, only to find it was Flick. Flick has been tailing Shin because he seems to know where Teresa is. The party follows Shin's trail, and Riou finds a switch that opens a secret door. Following the secret path, the party finds a shack where Teresa hides. The party explains to Teresa that they're here to take her out of Green Hill. However, Teresa refuses. She says she isn't acting mayor of Green Hill anymore. Teresa explains how Green Hill fell to Highland. The Highlands purposely released Muse soldiers into Green Hill. At first, everyone is happy, but then the Highland army besieged the city. With the addition of Muse soldiers, the food at Green Hill dwindled rapidly. Eventually, conflicts broke out between Green Hill citizens and Muse soldiers. It ended with the Muse soldiers rebelling and taking over the food storage. And so, Green Hill fell to Highland without even a single battle. Since the party is unable to convince Teresa, they decide to leave Green Hill tomorrow. The next day, the party is about to leave Green Hill, but they see Joey announcing that he'll reward anyone who captures Teresa alive. When Pilika sees Joey, she immediately runs to him. Rode notices the party, and he tries to capture them. Fortunately, Fisher manages to cause confusion among the citizens, and the party runs to the secret path. When the party arrives at Teresa's hideout, they find Nina trying to convince Teresa to run. Turns out that Nina has been secretly helping Teresa hide. Teresa surrenders herself to the Highlands. The party returns to save Teresa. Nina rallies the people of Green Hill and the Muse soldiers to urge her to run away. Teresa finally decided to run. She promises that one day, she will be back. The party escapes again through the forest. After running far enough, the party meets Joey. Joey requests that Riou relinquishes leadership of the Orange Army. Riou answers that he couldn't just run away. The party continued their escape. Rode and his men ask Joey if he saw anyone pass through. Joey says that nobody passed here, but Rode says that one of his men clearly saw the party run through there. Rode threatens to report him to Luca, but Kulgan and Seed appear, and they cover for Joey. Kulgan and Seed pledge their loyalty to Joey because they know what he's planning. At the Highland camp, Luca asks Joey what he wants, and Joey answers that he wants Gia as his wife. Since Tinto is still closing their border, the only option for an alliance is the knightdom of Matilda. After passing the Green Hill-Matilda border, Myklotov and his knights greet the party, and he escorts them to Rockaches, Matilda's capital. Riou meets Gerudo to forge an alliance, but Gerudo belittles him as the leader of a small army feudally fighting Highland, and he refuses to cooperate with the Orange Army. That night, Leknot appears and wakes up Riou. She encourages Riou to keep fighting because many people believed in him. The next day, Myklotov reports that the Highland Army is approaching the border. They are pursuing refugees from Muse, who are running to Matilda. The knights mobilize their forces. Myklotov says they have to rescue the refugees, but Gerudo orders the knights not to let anyone pass the border, including the refugees. Myklotov protests, but he couldn't disobey Gerudo's order due to his oath. The Highland Army captures the refugees and brings them back to Muse. The knights return to Rockaches, and Gerudo boasts that even Luca doesn't dare to invade Matilda. Myklotov rushes alone to Muse so he can see what the Highlands do to those refugees. Camus begs the party to accompany Myklotov. When the party and Myklotov almost arrive at Muse, they witness two giant wolf heads rise from the city. The party finds out from a survivor that Luca has sacrificed the Muse citizens to the Beast Rune. Returned to Rockaches, Myklotov asks permission to invade Muse, but Gerudo admonishes him for trying to start a war with Highland. Myklotov warns Gerudo that Highland will invade them sooner or later, but Gerudo doesn't heed it. Myklotov couldn't hold back his anger anymore. He calls out Gerudo for doing nothing while lives are thrown away. Then Myklotov throws away his knight badge. Gerudo orders Camus to arrest Myklotov, but Camus says he can't do that. Camus throws away his badge, and other knights join them. Myklotov and the party leave Rockakes, while Camus stays behind to convince other knights to join him. At the Greenhill Matilda border, Shu picks up the party. Camus brings along about half of the red and blue knights to join the Orange Army. Meanwhile at Highland, Luca and Jowie are discussing their plan. Luca is concerned because not all of the Highland army are loyal to him, particularly Kiba and Klaus. Jowie says he already has a solution for that. Jowie introduces Leon Silverberg to Luca. The next day, Shu reports that the Highland is in Radat. Victor decides to go with Riou to Radat to check on the situation. At Radat, Klaus announces that the town is now under Highland rule. The party decides to leave after learning who they will deal with, but Klaus notices Riou and calls him. Klaus informs him that Jowie is currently in Renwi, the Highland capital, where a wedding between him and Princess Gia will commence. Klaus says this time he won't lose to Riou. The party returns to headquarters, and Shu is confident that they could win against the Highland army even without strategy. During the battle, Ridley questions Shu why he placed only the kobolds unit on the front line, but Shu coldly answers that Ridley shouldn't question his decision. Offended, Ridley orders the kobolds to retreat. The Orange Army soon gets overwhelmed, so they retreat. At Highland, the ceremony takes place. Jowie swears loyalty to King Augars by dropping his blood on the wine. Augars drinks the wine. Suddenly, he coughs up blood and collapses. Luca laughs maniacally as he watches Augars die. Jowie has been drinking antitoxin, and he poisons his own blood. The next day, Shu explains his strategy. Rias' unit will act as bait, and other units will ambush Kaiba's forces. However, Klaus sees through the strategy. He tells the soldiers to advance toward Rias' unit. Ridley's unit appears and attacks Kaiba's army from the rear. Klaus didn't anticipate that Ridley's forces would come. It turns out it was just planned all along. Kaiba's army is surrounded. The 4th Company wants to assist Kaiba's army, but Leon arrives with an order from Luca that they have to pull back. Abandoned by their ally, Kaiba's army lost the will to fight. Apple offers the enemy to surrender. Back at headquarters, she says that Kiba and Klaus should be useful if they join the Orange Army. Kiba and Klaus refuse to betray their country. A messenger brings a letter from the Highlands. The letter says that it was a gift from King Luca. Klaus realizes the letter means Luca has murdered King Augars. Shu convinces Kiba that Luca's ambition will bring ruin not just to city-state, but to Highland as well. Kiba and Klaus decide to join the Orange Army. Currently, the Orange Army is roughly equal to a Highland company. However, Highland still has 3 companies. Since Matilda refuses to cooperate and Tinto is still ignoring them, there's no more force in city-state they could ally with. Sheena enters the room, and he suggests they should ask his father for help. President Lepant of the Turan Republic is Sheena's father. Though the city-state and Scarlet Moon Empire are enemies, Shu accepts Sheena's suggestion since the empire has changed into a new country. Riou, Sheena, and Fried go to Banner Village, and walk through the forest to the Turan border. The border guard, Varkas, escorts the party to Gregminster. The party meets Lepant and asks him to help the Orange Army. Riou reminds Lepant of Tur. Lepant agrees to help the Orange Army, and he calls Valeria and Kasumi. Riou may choose either of them to join the Orange Army. With the mission complete, the party returns to Banner Village, where Apple and Ridley are waiting to escort them back to headquarters. Apple says that the Highland Army is marching toward the headquarters. This time, the Highland Army also brings reinforcements from Harmonia. Their number reaches 50,000. While the Orange Army only had 20,000. Meanwhile, at the Highland camp, Luca plans to attack the Orange Army headquarters. Sasroy, the commander of the Harmonia troops, also wants to join the battle. The next day, Shu says that the Highland Army is already in Radat. Ridley's forces are currently checking the enemy numbers. A soldier reports that the enemy has ambushed and surrounded Ridley's forces. The Orange Army immediately deploys to save Ridley, but they arrive too late. Back at the headquarters, Luke says that he'll take care of Sasroy. Shu tells everyone he already has a plan. The next day, Shu explains his strategy. The only way to win is to kill Luca. If Luca dies, then Gia will inherit the throne. All units will wait in ambush. Once the ambush has sprung, Rias' unit will focus on defeating Luca, and while the Highland is busy fighting, Mondo and Sasek will free Ridley. Although the ambush worked, defeating Luca is not an easy task. The Highland reinforcements arrived at the battlefield. Using the True Wind rune, Luke unleashes massive hurricanes upon the Highland army, but Sasroy is able to get away. After taking relentless attacks, Luca gets injured. However, Luca starts rampaging against the Orange Army. Since the situation becomes dangerous, Shu orders all units to withdraw. Though the plan failed, Mondo and Sasek successfully freed Ridley. Ridley has a letter for Shu. The letter says that Luca is planning to lead a night raid. Shu seizes this opportunity and instructs Riou, Flick, and Victor to each lead a party to defeat Luca. The night comes, and the Orange Army ambushes Luca. Riou and his party finally defeat Luca after he battles through Flick and Victor's parties. After running far enough, Luca finds a wooden amulet on a tree. He opens it, releasing the fireflies inside. The light alerted Shu and his archers, causing them to shoot at it. Riou and his party catch up with Luca. Luca attacks Riou, but he counters him. Luca mocks Riou for thinking that the war will end once he's dead. Finally, he succumbs to his wounds and dies. Hiding nearby, Joey and Leon are watching them. After Luca died, the Highland army has withdrawn. When Riou and Nanami walk around Cuscus, they meet Kulgan, who's here to deliver a message to the Orange Army. At the headquarters, Kulgan relays the message that Joey has become the king of Highland, and he wants to end the war. So, Joey invites Riou and Teresa to negotiate peace at the Joustin Hill. Though many people doubt whether the Highlands truly want peace, Riou decides to go. They arrive at the Joustin Hill, and it turns out the peace treaty is indeed a trap. Joey demands Riou surrender, but Riou refuses. Suddenly, Victor barges into the room. He also brings Pilika, who immediately runs into Joey. Victor and the party run away. Leon orders the archers to shoot, but Joey stops him. He couldn't do it in front of Pilika. The party escapes from Muse. Riou finds a man named Koya in front of the headquarters. Koya is one of the Lamp Dragon bandits, who lives near Tinto. Koya arrives to seek Rias' assistance after zombies attack their hideout. The zombies must be Necklord's doing, and Ridley guesses that his target must be Tinto. Riou, Victor, and Nanami go to Tinto to stop Necklord. As the party reached Lamp Dragon's hideout, hordes of zombies had attacked it again. Gijimu opted to abandon the hideout and destroyed the bridge. The zombies are heading to Tinto, so it seems they need to work together with Mayor Gustav. The party meets Gustav. Victor asks him to join forces to repel Necklord's zombies. Gustav accepts Victor's offer since he now recognizes the Orange Army's strength. The next day, Ridley and Klaus arrived at Tinto along with troops. Gustav's daughter, Lily, tells her father that the zombies have come. Victor accuses Necklord of working with Highland, but Necklord denies it. He just wants to create his own kingdom at Tinto. After Necklord leaves, Jess and Hauser come back. Jess refuses to cooperate with the Orange Army because he mistakenly believes that Riou killed Annabelle. Jess tells Riou and Nanami that the city-state should be saved by its own citizens. What Jess said makes Nanami think that they don't belong to the city-state. Nanami asks Riou to stop fighting because he has no reason to fight and others could take his place. Riou answers that people need him. Nanami is sad after hearing Rias' answer, but ultimately, she supports Rias' decision. The next day, a soldier reports that Jess is deploying his troops. Jess gets information about where Necklord is hiding, so he plans to strike first. However, Klaus predicts that Jess won't be able to defeat Necklord's forces. Now they must assist Jess' forces in battle, otherwise, Necklord's zombie forces will grow larger. Riou and Nanami stay in the city while the others follow Jess. Riou and Nanami hear that some mine workers haven't come back from the mine, so they investigate it. They run into Necklord. Necklord uses his rune to make Riou his subject, but the bright shield rune protects Riou. Riou and Nanami run back to Tinto, but the city is already filled with zombies. Riou falls unconscious after using his rune, and he awakens 2 days later at Crom Village. The party meets Khan again. Khan explains to the party that as long as they don't seal Necklord's soul, he could come back to life. Fortunately, Khan knows someone who could do it. The party heads to Tigermouth Village, and the person Khan mentioned is a vampire named Sierra. She was the bearer of the moon rune, which Necklord stole many years ago. Sierra joins the party after testing the party's strength. The next day, Gustav tells the party they could enter Tinto through the cave that connected to the mine. The party successfully entered Tinto through the mine, and they confronted Necklord. Victor buys time until Khan finishes making the barrier that prevents Necklord from escaping. Necklord tries to use the moon rune to break the barrier, but Sierra commands the rune to seal its power. Desperate, Necklord fights the party, but he loses. Necklord starts begging for mercy. After Necklord returns the rune, Sierra lets Victor cut him down. Once Necklord dies, Jess forces clean up the remaining zombies. Jess admits that his mistake cost him many soldiers. He intends to step down, but Hauser convinces him to join the Orange Army. With the addition of troops from Tinto and Muse, the Orange Army is now roughly equal to the Highland Army. Shu decides that it's time for a counter-strike. With the majority of the Highland Army in Muse, the Orange Army will retake Green Hill. At night, A woman named Lucia tries to assassinate Riou, but he manages to hold on until Flick, Victor, and Sai come to his aid. They took Lucia to prison, but she managed to escape the next day. To attack Green Hill, the Orange Army will split into two. One group will stop the Highland Army reinforcements from Meuse, while the other one will focus on attacking Green Hill. Although the Orange Army wins the battle, Green Hill is harder to breach than expected. Teresa suggests they should use the secret path to enter the city and open the gate from inside. Teresa herself will lead the way. The party walks through the secret path, but Lucia is already waiting for them. After the party defeats her, Teresa asks Lucia why she thinks of them as enemies. Lucia explains that the Karaya people were oppressed by the city-state, and Teresa's father poisoned her father during a peace council. Teresa promises that she will investigate this matter, and if Lucia is telling the truth, then she will pay the compensation. Lucia concedes defeat and allows the party to pass. When they're approaching the city gate, Uber appears. Using his dark power, he summons a monster. The Highland Army retreats once the party slays the monster. Although Green Hill was successfully liberated, Matilda surrendered to Highland. Turns out that while the Orange Army attacked Green Hill, Leon led the Highland Army to invade Matilda. Gerudo quickly surrendered, and now Matilda has become a vassal to Highland. Apple proposes to attack Meuse immediately, since most of the Highland Army is still in Matilda. While making preparations at Green Hill, Nanami sees Lucia sneaking around. Lucia leads Riou and Nanami to the secret path, where Joey awaits them. Once again, Joey advises Riou that he should quit as the Orange Army leader and run. Eventually, Joey finally understands that Riou is in the same position as him. Before leaving, Joey promised to bring a new order to the land as the King of Highland. The Orange Army marches to Meuse, and the Highland Army is clearly planning something. The Highland Army retreats, leaving Lucia and her men to fight alone to buy time. Eventually, the Orange Army breaches Meuse. Victor accompanies Riou to investigate the city. The party enters the city hall, and they're surprised to see a giant golden wolf inside. The party finds more wolves outside, and they immediately run out of the city. The Highland Army marches back to Meuse. Fortunately, Apple sees through the enemy plan, and the Orange Army retreats safely. Shu called Kiba into his room. Shu has an important mission for Kiba. The outcome of the next battle will decide the victor of the war. Shu asks Kiba to attack the mercenary fortress. The Highland Army will have to divide their forces to defend Matilda and Meuse. Kiba accepts the mission, even though he knows the danger. Shu gathers all people in the meeting room to rally them for the decisive battle. Leknot appears to tell Riou that now he can use the full power of the Bright Shield rune after gathering all of the 108 stars of destiny. The Orange Army advances to Matilda, where they fight the Highland and Matilda Knights. With Shu's strategy, the Orange Army surprises the Highland Army and makes them retreat. Regrouping at Green Hill, Shu explains the next plan. Ridley, Hauser, and Teresa will lead the attack to draw the enemy away from Rockaxe. Then Riou and the party will sneak into the castle. Some former knights have already infiltrated Rockaxe by disguising themselves as Gerudo's men. Once the party enters the castle, they have to burn the Highland flag and replace it with the Orange Army flag. The enemy will think that Rockaxe has fallen. After the party enters Rockaxe, a soldier brings a letter from Kiba to Shu. The letter informs Shu that Kiba suffered mortal wounds during the battle, which unfortunately led to his death. The party almost reaches the flag, but the enemy is still pursuing them. The rest of the party stays to hold off the enemies, while Riou and Nanami continue forward to the flag. However, Joey stands in their way. Riou and Nanami don't want to fight Joey, but Joey insists they must because it's their destiny. Joey realizes the land is not big enough for both Highland and city-state, so he wants to unite the land to make a new, mighty nation free from war. Suddenly, Gerudo appears from behind, and he orders his men to shoot at Riou and Joey. Nanami protects them, but an arrow hits her. Angered, Riou and Joey fight together to defeat Gerudo. After Gerudo dies, Joey leaves. Once Shu sees the situation, he orders his men to carry on the mission and call a doctor. The Orange Army's flag is raised at Rockaxe, and the Highland Army and the Matilda Knights' morale drops when they see it. Joey orders the Highland Army to retreat. Back at the headquarters, everyone is anxiously waiting for Dr. Huan to save Nanami. Unfortunately, he's unable to save her. Everyone is shocked and saddened by Nanami's death. Huan asks Shu if they could talk privately inside. With Matilda liberated, the Highland Army retreated from Meuse, as they couldn't defend it from attacks from Green Hill and Matilda. However, the Highland Army will definitely attack again. Shu advises Riou to invade Highland, as it's the only way to stop the war. Riou accepts Shu's advice. Meanwhile at Highland, Joey pretends to sacrifice Jia as an offering to the Beast Rune to boost the troops' morale. That night, Shu asks Apple to pick one of the 3 cards on the table. Apple picks a card that says, Fire. The next day, the Orange Army arrives at the Highland border. Shu tells the other units to hide until he gives a signal. Meanwhile, Shu has his own plan. Kulgan warns that Shu's unit might be a decoy, but Leon dismisses his concern because he knows Shu won't put himself in danger. The Highland Army marches to eliminate Shu's unit, but once they enter the forest, Shu gives the signal to burn the forest. The Highland Army panics. Then Shu signals other units to surround the fleeing Highland Army. Apple thinks that Shu died, but it turns out Victor saved him. The Orange Army continues marching to Renwi, the Highland capital. After a fierce battle, the Orange Army breaches the capital. Riou and his party enter Renwi Castle. Lucia prevents the party from advancing, but the party defeats her again. Teresa comes, and she reminds Lucia that she will fulfill her promise. Lucia takes out a knife and attempts to stab Teresa in the back, but she can't make herself do it. Teresa knows she won't attack someone who's unarmed. Completely defeated, Lucia drops her knife, and she lets the party pass. The party continues into the deeper part, where they meet Han. Han and Riou engage in a duel, which Riou wins. Han falls, and the party ventures deeper into the castle. After facing many Highland soldiers, the party faces Kulgan and Seed. The party fights and defeats them. Kulgan and Seed have no regret that they die for the country they love. Meanwhile, Zhaoi tells Jia and Pilika that he has already prepared a home in Harmonia for them, so they can start their lives anew. Leon stands as the final obstacle for the party. He awakens the Beast Rune as a final test for Riou. After the party defeats the Beast Rune, they enter the throne room. However, there's nobody in the room. Suddenly, the castle is about to collapse, so the party immediately escapes. When the war finally ends, everyone expects Riou to lead the new city-state, but he declines. Riou heads to Tenzin Pass, back to the place where he and Zhaoi promised to reunite. Zhaoi is already waiting for Riou. Zhaoi tells Riou they have to fight, but Riou argues there's no reason for them to fight. Zhaoi responds that they have a reason to fight, which is to eliminate him in order to wipe out the last remnant of the Highland Kingdom. Even so, Riou still refuses to fight. Eventually, Zhaoi falls on his knees, even though Riou didn't attack him. Zhaoi reveals he has to use the Black Sword rune to suppress the Beast rune from awakening. However, using it continuously drains his life. Knowing he doesn't have much time left, Zhaoi begs Riou to take his rune, but Riou keeps refusing. Suddenly, both of their runes shine, and the light heals Zhaoi. Leknot tells them that Raya's spirit, and the spirit of the 108 stars of destiny, have called forth the power of the rune of beginning. Leknot advises them to go explore the world. Shu comes as they're about to leave. Although Shu wants Riou to lead city-state, he respects Raya's decision, so he lets Riou go. Shu then tells Riou that Nanami is still alive. Turns out Nanami told Dr. Huan to lie about her death. She did it because she wanted to get away from Riou for a while, so she wouldn't endanger him again. Nanami told Shu she's going back to Cairo, and she requested Shu not reveal the secret to Riou until the war is over. Riou and Zhaoi head to Cairo, where they reunite with Nanami. The 3 of them leave Cairo together to explore the world.